it's amazing what being on the stage can do. Because I know that a number of individuals involved in daytime drama make it a point to hone their craft, whether they're in New York or they're in Los Angeles, to try and, even if they're not involved in sort of off-Broadway productions or such, but more or less trying to create their own performances so they can still keep their feet wet and still stay active, if you will, and not be, how can I say this, kind of tied, if you will, to the character they play on TV, so their talent does not grow stale. And I realize how important it is in terms of being involved in live theater. And there's many things you've done: independent film, which we'll talk about shortly, live theater, and as well as live television, which obviously that could be another interview for another time. But I know that you probably have a certain preference for either of those three.
I like anything with a live audience. Yeah, I really enjoy that.
I know you probably have some interesting stories in terms of doing live theater, at least when you ended up getting to New York and such, especially working, I think at one point in time you worked mornings on World Turns, you did afternoon matinees of Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf on Broadway, and you did evenings off-Broadway doing The Fantastics.
Mm-hmm. It was the weekends that really got to me, because I invariably worked on Friday as The World Turns, and then Friday night The Fantastics, and then Saturday the matinee company of Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, and then that night I did 2 shows of The Fantastics, and then a Sunday matinee and Sunday evening, and I was without fail on Monday as The World Turns.
Wow. So, yeah, definitely a full plate. Was Jerry Orbach part of the cast at that time?
No, I just missed him. I think I missed him by maybe a week or a day. I know that he had just left.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know you've also had a great acting opportunity in working with Geraldine Fitzgerald.
Yes.
When you went off to do Our Private World for that one year, it must have been very, very much of an education working with someone who had an extensive resume like she had.
Yes, it was also so different for her, I think, at that time, because it wasn't the show. I'm sorry, I don't mean to stutter, but I'm just going over that in my mind.
It's okay.
Our Private World should have remained private. Let me put it that way. It was not well written. The thing that intrigued me, because As the World Turns was, of course, still in black and white. I think television was, or at least it was on CBS. But our show, if we had gone into the fall, it was geared to color. And it was fascinating to work on a set where things were color coordinated, because on a black and white show, it didn't really matter. We had green walls and purple this, and I had in my bedroom with Bob, I had an orange chaise, and then we had pink stuff on the bed, and it's on the 2 beds, the twin beds. It was strange. But Geraldine was wonderful. I would have enjoyed doing a play with her where we could really have worked on a scene and gotten it. This was fast. It was hard-working fast.
I know that over the past few years you've done a certain amount of independent films as well, especially in New York, with a number of individuals. Justin Dees, who was Tom Hughes back in the 80s. A couple of folks I know, a tough guy by the name of Chuck Zito.
Oh yes, yes. I played an Irish drug lord. But I was in Costa Rica where we did The Sunsetters, and I played a lesbian. It was loads of fun.
And maybe some things like this shouldn't be discussed proper, but yeah, it's understandable.
Oh well, then I did play a drunk mean mother. That was with Justin Dees, but I wasn't his mother then. He was the cop. Yeah.
Yeah. Doing independent films, obviously, you go from, I guess in a sense, what would be complete organized chaos with doing a television series like World Turns, and then you're doing independent, where everything is more or less around a shoestring budget, and basically if you want craft services, you have to run down to Dunkin' Donuts to get a cup of coffee.
I enjoyed doing the independent films because it gave me a chance to do different characters, and I enjoy finding other sides to a character and creating a different life. I think that's great.
Yeah, so it's more or less just like doing, if you will, just continuing to do stage productions, just another extension of one's craft, and just making sure that it continues to be stimulated and not stagnant.
Yeah, I try not to let it ever get that way. I owe a great debt to the Neighborhood Playhouse and studying with Sandy Meisner. He was the greatest. And that was what we worked on, how to keep it alive and keep it fresh.
That's what concerns me, because more or less I kind of draw back from being involved with interviewing actors from this show called Doctor Who. They grew up. They grew up being involved in theater. If they wanted to act, if they wanted to join a theater company, they didn't end up getting the lead role in the first play they appeared in. Their first day, they swept the floor, they built the sets, they made the costumes, and if after a year, if they were lucky, they had a non-speaking extra part in the play. And I recall back in a TV Guide article that you and Don Hastings were interviewed for back in 2000 about the fact that, and I agree with you wholeheartedly about this, about the simple fact that today it's not so much casting people with experience in terms of drama, but it's just casting these very attractive, fine young individuals, who look great on camera, and as long as they look great on camera, we'll just feed them the lines, and then they could start to grow into the role themselves. And in a way, I still kind of sense that it's still very much like this till this day, with a few dramas which shouldn't be mentioned at the moment. But I trust that I hope that I'm being proved wrong, and I hope that maybe some people kind of picked up with what you had said back then.
I hope so. It's very important to cast people who have. When I first went on the show, I was a young kid, but I had experience in the theater, and certainly in college, but at the Neighborhood Playhouse, and later on with Strasberg.
I can imagine what it must have been like to more or less be a fly on the wall where Lee Strasberg was concerned, because I know that I can only just imagine, just from reading from stories of individuals who participated in his classes, that working with him was working with someone who really had just a new way of just expressing yourself through drama, through dramatic arts as an actor, and he must have been a tremendous influence on your career as well.
He was. But Sandy was first. I studied 2 years with Sanford Meisner. Yeah.
I know that there's a number of individuals who've been very much an important part of your time on World Turns. I guess the first individual would be Erna Phillips.
Yes. Erna was quite amazing. And as the years went on, I can certainly say that I appreciate what she did. And I don't mean on the part of my creating my role, but that she created this phenomenon of soap operas, and how she worked on it, and how she kept her storylines dovetailing one to another. And she was a very deep woman.